Minister, I've listened to what you've had to say, and you have a lot of nice words, lots of committees, lots of discussion, but essentially what you're saying to farmers is, leave horse and you'll get grass. You talk about a wartime response. That's not a wartime response. There are people on committees discussing this problem who are getting more and have got more, even if that's just a cup of tea. They're getting more than farmers have got up to now to combat this crisis in fertiliser cost. And that cost will inevitably have, because most farmers are taking it on credit, that'll be passed on to consumers next year. Food prices are going to rocket, and we're going to see division between farmers who are passing on legitimate cost, they've no alternative because the government haven't helped them, and consumers who are paying an awful lot more than they can afford for food.
Listen, I mean, we have been very proactive as a team, and Minister Hayton has been very proactive, as indeed as Minister Hackett, in terms of working with the farming organisations here to address the challenges in place, and to ensure that we're looking forward to next April, May. So when it gets to next April, May, we make the preparations now so that we're secure then.
I raised this with the Taoiseach and the Taoiseach earlier in the year, and they said that you were meeting with agriculture ministers and that you'd then be able to detail what was happening. Now, when you met with the EU agriculture ministers, did you call for a reduction or the abolition of EU import tariffs on fertiliser? I appreciate that's not something you can do unilaterally, but it is something that the EU agriculture ministers can do if they put their mind to it. So did you call for that? Is it going to happen? Minister, you've talked about incentives to ensure that there are full sheds of hay and full pits of silage at the end of the year, but there's an obstacle to that, and that you can deal with unilaterally, and that's people with low input permanent pasture can't cut hay and silage, although you're trying to if they're in gloss, you're trying to incentivise them to do so, but yet they can't. Will they be on a temporary basis for this year or for as long as this fertiliser crisis, will they be allowed to cut silage? And likewise, traditional hay meadows can only cut one cut because it has to be cut after a certain deadline. Will that be brought forward to allow for a second cut this year? There are matters that you can deal with unilaterally.
In relation to those schemes, obviously I want to ensure that farmers are getting the income from those schemes. And therefore, it's important that actually the conditions of the scheme are carried out in relation to actually making sure that income can be there. I think if we can ensure that farmers do what they normally do, grow the grass as well as they normally do using the land that they have, we'll be in a good position next year. That's why I've come forward with a cost support to actually help support farmers in making that hay and making that silage. And listen, we all know come next March or April, we won't be able to make any grass or grow or do anything much in relation to fodder from here. I, as Minister, won't be able to import fodder like what might have happened in previous years. We don't have that safety valve. We don't have the safety valve necessarily. We can't be sure we'll have the safety valve of being able to increase the grain fed to be able to mitigate a fodder shortage. We can't do that because we can't be sure there'll be that level of supply there. What we can do is work and act now to grow grass, grow silage, grow hay, and that's why as a department, as a group of ministers, myself, Minister Hayden, Minister Hackett, we're working with farmers now to back them in actually preparing for next winter and next spring and putting that scheme in place. And my message is to continue doing that for farmers that really are stepping up, and it's really important we recognise now that it's now we act to prevent challenges next spring and winter.
Now we move to...
I have asked for that, Deputy McNamara. It's disappointing we haven't had action on that yet, but I have been asking for it.
We'll now move